Kip Sorensen. It's glad to be joining you again for another Ask Me Anything.
Yeah, I think the holiday season is upon us, and
How so?
schedules are going to start getting a little crazy, maybe.
Yeah, man, I know this fall has just and winter now has just proven to be a very, very busy time in my life. You're busy too. Everybody's busy. It's just the way it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah, for sure. And it looks as though you officially have a lot of snow. Is that
I mean, a lot for us. I wouldn't say if I had a lot to anybody here, they'd laugh me out of the room because I don't think it's a lot at all.
a
It's been
lot for the
cold, man.
Micklers? A lot for the
For us,
Micklers.
yeah,
I see.
yeah. Being in the high desert of southern Utah for the last, I don't know, 20 years or so. This is a lot of snow for us, but
Yeah,
we have a good time. We've been
that's
outside playing around
that's
in it, having snowball fights. It's kind of ice now, so but it's good. We trekked through it. Me and my oldest boy have been hunting quite a bit, so it's been a good time.
love it, man. All
Yeah.
right.
Well, should we jump into the questions for today? Let's not waste any time today. Let's just
Yeah.
jump right into it.
Yes. So these are coming
So
from
if you're
Facebook. Yep.
Yeah, okay, are we just doing Facebook today?
Yes, sir.
Cool, man. Let's get into them. We'll answer as many questions as we possibly can, and I know we've got a ton, so we'll answer as many as we can, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. And I interrupted you. You're about to introduce what is the AMA, I believe. So,
Yeah, no, I just did. Just answering questions.
okay.
Like
Awesome.
no need to sugarcoat it. You guys have questions. We have some answers, not all the answers.
Yeah.
So we'll just do our best to answer what we can and go from there.
I guess you guys could have caught on after we answered like two questions of what's really happening here.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a pretty smart group of people that listen in, and if they're not, they end up tuning out. So it kind of weeds itself out. We just know that the guys stick around are the intelligent ones.
Yeah, by default. All
That's
right.
right.
So we mentioned this already. These questions are coming to us from the Facebook group. To join us there, that's facebook.com/groups/order of man. All right,
Yes,
let's
sir.
get into it. All right, Leonard Galgay. Homosexuality and how does it not have to define who you are as a man or impact your masculinity? You still need to protect, provide, and preside. So not a specific question, but
Man,
maybe
you're
your
coming out of the
thoughts.
gate swinging
I know.
today.
Yeah, I was like,
Jeez.
oh man, way to jump right in.
I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. I don't agree with that lifestyle, and there's a lot of lifestyles that I don't agree with, but I don't need to. I've always defined masculinity as being a protector, a provider, and a presider. A straight man can do that just as well as a homosexual man can do that. So who a guy decides to love and what he does in his bedroom and everything else, that's his prerogative and his choice. But as long as he's taking accountability and responsibility of his life and he is stepping into the protector, provider, presider that he's meant to be, that he's called to be, then all the power to him. I mean,
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. I think a lot of people tend to want to make this a debate or an argument or some long drawn out conversation. Whatever, do your thing. But here's what I believe it means to be a man. And if you're doing those things, then again, all the power to you. Get after it, get it done, be the man that your family and your friends and colleagues and coworkers need you to be.
All right. Tyler Garski, have you found anything that helps you release anger from your past and also anything that helps you stay cool when things in your present day life triggers anger from your past?
I don't have a whole lot of anger from my past, and that may be because I've learned to deal with it. I think what a lot of
Yeah.
men will do is they'll hide it or they'll subdue it. They'll ignore it. They'll tuck it away and lock it up and never really deal with those demons
Yeah.
that they may have had in the past. And at some point, those demons are bound to get out if you're not willing to deal with them. They never go away, I don't think. And let's be clear here. I didn't come from what I would call a traumatic childhood. All right, there aren't a whole lot of issues in my past that were traumatic that drastically altered who I am or were catastrophic in nature. There's no abuse in my history. I always grew up with a roof over my head. I knew that I had love from both of my parents, even though my father wasn't as much in the picture as my mother was. I had a good childhood. So that may be part of it. So I don't really have to deal with that a whole lot. And I think it'd be presumptuous if I said, well, you just got to do this and this, when I really didn't have a hard time as a child. But that being said, what I've recognized in other men is that they have a very difficult time letting go of these things because they never face them. And when you learn to face your demons and the darkness, you make yourself more capable of dealing with those things mentally, physically, emotionally. You give yourself the tools and the skill sets. It's so important that you address adversity and challenges and past mistakes and past trauma, because that's how you make yourself stronger. That's how you inoculate yourself against that continuing to bubble up to the surface. I think therapy is a great way to revisit some of that past trauma. I think that's a very good way to do it. I think there's a lot of stigma around that, especially for men, that it somehow makes them weaker. And, I mean, by design, the whole point is that you recognize your threats and then you address them. That actually makes you stronger, not weaker. So just use all the tools at your disposal. I think having good men around you who want you to win, who want you to thrive and succeed. And then I think just having a healthy perspective of reality and the situation in which you came from. There's a great book that I've recommended quite a bit called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I hope I didn't mess that up. It again called The Four Agreements. One of his agreements is never take anything personally. And it's hard when you're a child to consider how other people's actions have influenced you, not to take that personally. But if you can learn not to take it personally and just realize that the situations you dealt with in the past are at this point objective, it's really just something that's happened. You get to decide and interpret what that event means. You talk about it quite a bit, is what meaning you attach to it.
Yeah.
So if you've had past trauma and past dealings and challenges and hardships and all of these other things, at this point, what's done is done. Now, how do you address it? What meaning do you attach to it? How are you a better person because of it? How have you dealt with it? What tools have you equipped yourselves with to overcome these types of things as it continues to drive forward? As far as releasing anger and frustration, I mean, physically you can do that just by going on a run or participating in jujitsu or having some sort of physical activity. But I think one of the most powerful tools and most overlooked, I think specifically with men, is talking. Like, talk this stuff out, work this stuff out. I'm not saying you need to have a gripe session. I don't think men work best like that, but I do think it's okay that we communicate with each other about these things. That's why having a band of brothers is so critical, whether it's, our digital band of brothers, the Iron Council. There's a lot of guys who have talked about some deep stuff in that group, or a bunch of guys that you meet with locally. It's all great and that's all wonderful. And you should be talking about these things and doing activities and having meetups and gatherings that edify you and uplift you. These are all powerful ways to overcome what you've dealt with in the past.
It's great, man. The only thing I'd add is don't wait for the trigger, right? To what you're saying, we push these things off. So do it on your terms. And on your terms is addressing the issue now versus just waiting until you're quote unquote out of control. Right. And you have a trigger and now it's, it's bubbled up to the surface and now you can't address it. So don't delay, be intentional, start addressing those issues now, whether it's, like you said, through counseling and whatnot. And I think what you would find really from counseling is that very thing is, what's the interpretation or the meaning that you added to the event that quote unquote caused you anger? Right. And it's not surprising that most of the time it's not true necessarily, right? Like it's your interpretation of it and just understanding really as a child why you came up to that conclusion, just understanding that, and that understanding that a lot of that emotion is a result of what a 10-year-old would feel like. And now you're 20 and now you can make that conscious decision if that continues to mean that for you or not. So
it's an interesting thing when you talk about truth. I mean, what is that? What is truth? As you interpret it as a 10-year-old boy to mean one thing. In fact, I got a great email in my email inbox this morning. Obviously, where else would it go?
Yeah, I was going to say, so you got a letter or
from a good friend of mine, Sean Whalen. A lot of guys listening know Sean and know of him anyways. And he had talked about his abusive father. And he interpreted it to mean one thing, but he woke up and came to this realization that his father just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
He just didn't know any better. So it really wasn't personal at that point. Yes, it affected him personally, but it wasn't personal. And that opened his mind to a new way of looking at things. And then ultimately how he chose to be a better father because of that past experience that he had.
Yeah, totally. All right. This is a long question. All right, Richard Russell, here we go. I'm a single father, split time with his mom, and was wondering how should I address situations where we both strongly disagree with each other. Anytime I bring it up in a respectable fashion, she lets her emotions get in the way and leads to unproductive conversations. Overall, we have a great co-parenting relationship, and I would like to keep it that way, but I do not want to sacrifice my freedom nor the ability for me or my son to grow. Examples are introducing him to shooting firearms, introducing him to my partner in 4 months. FYI, I have never introduced him in 6 years to any woman that I have had a relationship with, and I feel like this one is worth pursuing a future with.
Well, as quickly as I can, as succinctly, I should say, as I can answer this, is that you have to respect the fact that this woman is his mother, and when your son is with her, then she's going to have her way of parenting, and when he's with you, you're going to have your way. Yeah. And I commend you for trying to get on the same page. It sounds like you have a pretty good relationship with his mother, which is good. But you know what? There's going to be times when you don't agree, and it is what it is. So what I would do, I'm assuming your son is old enough to understand this to some degree, because you're talking about introducing him to your girlfriend or fiance. You're talking about potentially teaching him to use firearms. So I'm assuming he's somewhat old enough to understand these things. I would just be truthful with your son. Don't throw your ex under the bus, but just be very truthful with your son about, hey, mom sees it this way and I see it this way, and here's why we're going to do it when you're here. When you're there, you're not going to be able to participate in these things. And of course, there's going to be disagreements, and there's going to be misunderstandings, and there's going to be things that you don't see eye to eye on. But you know what? You're a father. You have just as much right as she does to raise your son the way that you see fit. So do it the way that you know best. Try to include your ex to the best of your ability. And if there's certain things that you disagree on that aren't negotiable for you, then exercise your rights as a father and raise your son the way you see fit when he's with you.
Yeah, totally agree. Not that you needed me to agree, but
I do, actually. I mean, it just makes me feel so much better about myself. And
you're like, that's why we do these podcasts, just to see if Kip will agree with me.
Right. And if you don't agree with me, it just ruins my day, and I just have a really difficult time with it.
Yeah, I understand.
I've got you on audio, but for some reason your video is you're frozen on video. So maybe at some point it'll catch up, because you kind of you either look tired or high based on the freeze frame I've got you on your video right now.
There went the
maybe YouTube a little bit of both.
The YouTube views just shot shot up right because everyone wants to see what Kip looks like high.
Good. Yep. Now you'll see it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So no, the only thing I'd add that just kind of came to mind, Ryan, while you're sharing is, he used this example. He said that she gets overly emotional, right? And the conversation becomes unproductive. Mm-hmm. What relationship doesn't when people disagree, right? And I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm like, this is normal, right? And it's tough, and she has her agency, and you can't force her to see things differently or change. You can just have a conversation, and the more relaxed you stay in the conversation, the better it's going to be for the relationship. But what an awesome opportunity to teach your son that you don't have to disagree, or you don't have to agree with someone, and you don't have to quote unquote make them wrong. Right. Where he can actually see that, oh, dad sees this differently and mom sees this differently. And guess what? We don't hate each other. They don't badmouth each other. There's not an issue. They just see it differently. And what a great opportunity for him to learn that everyone's always not going to agree with you, and that's okay.
That's well said. I would also add, in addition to that, is making sure that you don't get sucked down into it. Because if she becomes emotional, then it's easy for you to become emotional, and then you just have this downward spiral. And then what it ends up doing is it undermines everything that you do agree on. So it just poisons the well. And when you want to keep this as separate as possible, there's one issue or two issues that you don't agree on, and 98% of what you guys do, you agree on. So don't poison the well by being sucked into the emotional baggage that may come with having a disagreement over some of these things. Just keep yourself up and above the drama and the emotions. All right, Kip, I know I lost you there for a second, but looks like We're back. We're up and running. So what is the next question? I think we got through the last one.
All right, next question. Scott Anderson. I know of negative self-talk that hinders your development into a better man. My question is, what is yours or an example of positive talk?
It's a good question. I don't really get sucked into the negative self-talk, and I'm actually able to turn it off pretty quickly. I do fall into the comparison trap quite a bit and wonder why I don't have the success that another individual might have. And I've noticed that starts to drag me down a little bit and get me down and going down a negative path. So when that happens, I disengage from the individuals who I'm comparing myself to. I mean, these are people who I'm generally inspired by and influenced by and are very prolific and popular and everything good that you'd say. But for whatever reason, there's certain people that I just get stuck in comparing myself to. So I found for my own sanity and well-being is if I can just disengage from these individuals altogether, it's better off. These are people that, you're quote unquote supposed to follow or whatever. And I've just disengaged. That really helps. As far as positive self-talk, I just look back and draw upon my past experiences. I've had relative success in just about everything I've tried when I pour my heart and soul and work and effort into it. And it's easy for me to look back and say, I've had this success in this endeavor and this success in this endeavor. So that it hasn't ever really been an issue. I mean, the great thing about thoughts is you can decide what they are. This is consciousness. Yeah. You decide. Do I want to have positive thoughts or do I want to have negative thoughts? Create some systems and put some procedures in place that will allow you to recognize when you're getting negative and creating some barriers and boundaries that keep that negativity from coming in, like unfollowing people or finding a hobby or an outlet or having powerful conversations with people that do edify you and uplift you. And I don't think this will be as big of an issue. That's what's worked for me.
I could probably relate to Scott on this probably more than you. How's this? I think the first thing that I'd like to point out, and I'm sure we've all done this, is you're at your house and your young child, maybe in my case, like Kika, she's 8, and she does something and she goes, "Oh, I'm such an idiot." And immediately as a parent, you're like, whoa, hold on. Like, that is not healthy. You shouldn't be saying that. But how often do we do that? Or our kid actually got that from us. So I do think there's huge power in this, like this minor little self-talk that we do from sometimes that might it naturally just happen when you make a mistake or you do something, you're like, oh, I'm such an idiot or whatever. I do think that is a bad habit and probably not healthy in general. Yeah. With that said, I probably have more of a self-talk problem than you do. And in fact, we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago. Like I kind of got in a dark spot over the last few weeks. And a lot of it was just things not aligning and things aren't going as smooth at home. And then I had some stresses at work and I just kind of really got into this funk, which wasn't self-talk. It was really self-thought, negative, self-doubt really. And I think for me, the perspective of looking at the current circumstance and saying, okay, yeah, these things may not be going well. Life may not be perfect, but how did I show up today? Like, how am I being right now, despite of outcomes and results? Because that's really what it comes down to, at least for me, is I have expectation that I want these types of results and maybe those aren't being met. And then I start self-doubting. And a Stoic way of looking at that, which is kind of the subject of the month in the Iron Council of Stoicism, the Stoic way of looking at that is, how am I showing up? What kind of man am I being in the moment, regardless of circumstance? And when I do that, then that really helps me kind of let go of and just have faith and trust that the results will come if I stay on the path and focus on how I show up today. And so a positive talk for me is really, I would put around like my daily affirmations that is part of my journaling process. I kind of have like a mantra that I'd read. And when I read that, then I look at my calendar and say, okay, based upon that, how am I going to show up today? And it sounds kind of cheesy, but everything from how am I going to walk into that meeting that I have with this particular client? And how am I going to show up when I'm on the mats, even from a jiu-jitsu perspective? Am I going to all grumpy and not talk to anybody and act depressed? Or I'm going to be energetic and interact with the other guys on the team and be excited to be there? How am I going to show up in the house? Am I going to be pissed off because the day didn't go well and I'm going to be short with all my kids? Or am I going to be super excited to see them? Right. And so I think that affirmation helps a lot. And another thing that I think helps tremendously, and it sounds really kind of, I don't know, odd. And it sounded odd when I read about this a few years ago, but what is the act of like negative visualization? When I think that I may not have my kids, that anything could happen today and I may lose them, that really changes the way I show up. And it really puts things in perspective. So how's that? Have positive talk by thinking negative? I don't know.
Just realistic.
Yeah, or just realistic of what could be lost. Right. So I don't know. That's
I like that. I think that's where you and I differ a little bit in that, you go through those processes. And for me, my knee-jerk reaction is, okay, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, you're the actor guy. You're like, let's just keep
right.
working, keep going.
So if I'm like, if I feel down or why isn't the podcast doing well, or I don't feel like we're having the results. Okay, so what am I going to do to create the results that I want? And then I just do it. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think your way, and I'm not trying to undermine the way you're saying it or what you're doing. It's just a different approach. And that's why doing this podcast together is so important as well, is because one guy might really resonate with that and say, yeah, just put your head down and go to work, and he feels better. And another guy might need to actually sit down and think about his thoughts and maybe document and write some of these things out and ponder. And both have value depending on what's going to get the job done. Just get the job done.
I'm sure most people relate to me more than you, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Example. Yeah, because most successful people, most people are not it's the 80-20. The most successful people are the 20%, right?
The 80, yeah.
So the 80%
relates to me. Yeah.
That's right.
That's perfect. I love it. All right. What else? Justin Kyogan. Good luck with the name, fellas. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, Kit. That's a little late. Can you?
I know. I should have.
Some of these guys ought to put like phonetic spelling of their names or whatever.
Oh, trust me, there has been some. So when I do get it right, it's because they went through the effort to actually do that. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Justin. Well, let me know, actually, Justin, how we did. Kip, can you explain why your blended family all call your wife mom and call you dad? I remember you spoke about it vaguely about a year ago. Well, thanks for listening for over a year. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Explain why. How's this? I like to teach my kids, not all my kids do it because my wife kind of disagrees with the sternness of this. But my oldest boys do. And they call me sir. So
your
boys
Ian, call you sir? Oh, like, yeah. Like, will you do this? Yes, sir.
Yes.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah. I'm like, hey boys, will you take out the trash? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the reason why I think that's valuable is because it's a form of respect.
Definitely.
And it's not because I'm over domineering and I want my kids to respect me. I want my kid to reference sir to anyone older than him.
Sure.
In the Hawaiian culture, my wife's Hawaiian, everyone's like auntie and uncle, right? Why? Because that has a form of respect, right? Versus just calling someone Justin or whatever. And so that's really where it spawns from, is there's titles. And from my perspective, Asia is a mother to them and deserves that title of mother. And if I am fathering, I deserve that title of father, whether I'm biologically a father or not. And I don't think it takes away from the fact that they have a biological parent. Now, with that said, and I don't want to rat hole on this, this was a major issue for us when we first got married, because I told my boys, like, hey, you should call Asia mom because she's taking care of you. She's not going to replace your mom. And, had this whole conversation. And my ex got she heard about this. And actually we went to court, and this was a legal issue in the court setting of whether my kids could call Asia mom or not.
So what did the court say about this? Like,
legally,
what they should say is it doesn't matter. You two work it out yourselves.
Yeah.
But what did they say?
No, they can't. They can't call Asia mom.
They cannot.
No.
They can if they choose to,
Sure. Yeah.
but you can't.
I can't force it
require
upon.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like I was spanking them to do it anyway, but yeah.
Why? So I'm curious though. This is interesting. My question is, why go to court over that? Why wouldn't you just say, yeah, okay, that's fine? Like, what was it that you thought was so important to do that over?
Oh, for me to fight over it. Yeah. So I
Right.
should clarify. Yeah, we didn't go to court for that particular reason, but it
Oh,
came
okay.
up.
But it came up.
Yeah. So we, I mean, without getting into the weeds,
Yeah, yeah. No,
there were some other things that we needed to tackle with her living in a different area. And then she brought this up as a concern as
Right.
part of the process. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you on that one. That's an interesting one for sure. But I see where you're coming from. But that's interesting. There you go. There's your answer. I can't remember the guy who asked it, but there's your answer.
Yeah, and there's the guy that I slaughtered his name. Who was that? Justin.
Oh, yeah, right. Justin. That's a hard name. I can see why you have a difficult time with the name.
Small town Utah. I have never heard of even. I only knew one uncle that his name was Justin, and I don't know.
All right, what else we got?
All right, Adam Smith. Now there you go. There's a name.
Just give us a name like that.
Adam Smith. How do you address the fact that the wife is happy with settling in life and I never settle, and I keep pushing to be better, but she won't match my hustle or aspire to be anything other than a housewife, and she has the potential to be so much more.
Dude,
oh man, this is loaded, especially once he said all she wants to do is just aspire to be a housewife. Dude, just Adam. All right. Ryan's going to set you straight.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
First of all, being a housewife and a homemaker is among the most noble endeavors that a woman could ever participate in.
Or
to be I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
Because I think a man's purpose is to protect, provide, and preside, and to be out there bringing in the bacon and doing what he needs to do to provide for his family. Okay. But for a woman to decide voluntarily that she wants to stay at home and be the primary raiser of her children, if that's a word, raiser, and to make your house a home with love and nurturing and support and counsel and all the things that a woman brings to the home is one of the most powerful roles that any woman could ever play in society. So I just want to say that first. Now, let's just say that he got his verbiage wrong and that he said that the wrong way. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe she's not even doing a great job at being a homemaker or a housewife. Okay, in that case, I get that. I understand. I think there's a lot to consider here. First of all, having these conversations, talking about these things, addressing these things, continuing to lead by example, illustrate to her why it's important. Right now, she may believe that if she has to do all this extra work, that's all it is. And she may not see the benefit of doing that extra work and engaging that way and being that kind of human being. So I would say just continue to lead by example. Continue to be the kind of man that you're meant to be. Continue to guide and inspire and lead and direct her and your children and you. And hopefully she'll see that and she'll want to be involved and she'll want to grow and she'll want to expand, and you're teaching her. And
so if you don't mind me adding to this, Ryan, because I see the opposite. This is not what Adam's asking, but it's such a dilemma for me. So hopefully my wife, it's not a problem because she doesn't listen to the podcast. So hopefully
I'm gonna email her and tell her to listen to whatever. I'm gonna give her a timestamp on what she needs to listen to here.
Yeah, you need to listen to this. Kip was totally talking about you. All right, so in my opinion, my wife, and I know other wives and other women struggling with this. struggling with this idea and this notion that being a homemaker is not ideal, that it is beneath them, and that they are not reaching their potential if they are not in the workplace. Now, for some women, they may have that desire to accomplish that. They may want to do those things. But for women that want to be a full-time mom and they're struggling with this subject gets me all like ironed up, like gets me fired up and kind of pissed. Because who says that my wife needs to work for her to reach her full potential in life? Like, where is she getting that from? Because in the grand scheme of things, in my honest opinion, in my grand scheme of things, when she's on her deathbed and she's done living life, when she looks back at it, she's not going to say, oh man, you know what? I should have put kids in daycare more often. I should have spent more time away from home, and I should have had a career and made more money. Like, I really don't believe that. I actually think by her choosing to be a full-time mom, that she's going to reach a level of satisfaction and fulfillment that is not possible any other way other than that way. But because we live in this society and there's this kind of this bullshit mentality being expressed that, well, if you're not equal to a man, if you're not having a job, if you're not a career person, you're somehow like not fulfilling your full potential. And I would like to call complete bullshit on it, because I think it is 100% bullshit.
I agree. I think we addressed that. I think
but it makes me mad, right? Like,
no,
because I see the conflict for her, because it is a conflict because of the society she lives in, right? And she gets this tug, and I'm like, babe, why are you concerned about this? Like, this is society's opinion of what you quote unquote should and should not do. Like, follow your heart, do what you feel is fulfilling. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that you caught all of what I said because the internet cut out or whatever, and we've had to splice this together. So I echoed those sentiments as well. I agree. And basically what I said is essentially the same thing that you did, which is it's among the most noble thing that a woman can do. But then I also said, let's give, I think his name is Cody, the benefit of the doubt, in that maybe he just phrased it wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe he didn't mean that was inferior. Maybe what he meant was that she's not even good in those capacities.
Yeah. And she's just loping around and not succeeding in any area.
Right. Okay. And one of the problems with that I've seen in a lot of women whose husbands end up joining and banding with us, whether it's the Iron Council or listening to the podcast or just going on their own self-development journey, is that this change that she sees in you potentially represents a threat to her.
Yeah.
The status quo is comfortable. It may not be great, but it's comfortable to some degree because it's familiar. When you start getting into uncharted territory, that's scary. It may not be as scary for you because you know the way you're going, you know the path, you follow all these people and you can see where it's taking you. You have these goals and ambitions and desires and dreams, and she doesn't see any of that. She hasn't had the luxury of connecting the dots because you haven't connected them for her. So right now, what she might see in you growing is a threat. Oh, what if he leaves me? What if he outgrows me? What if he turns into a jerk? What if all he does is work on his career and neglects us as his family? These are all very real things that could potentially arise, and she sees those. You can look into cognitive distortions, because what you're probably saying is, well, I would never do that. I'm doing that for us. I'm doing that for the family. Well, we have these abilities as humans to get into these distortions of reality and paint things worse than they really are. It's likely what she's doing. So you need to take her on that path. You need to fill her in on the journey and explain and articulate and show by example how this is not only serving you, but it's going to serve her too. It's in her best interest that you improve. It's in her best interest that she improves. It's in the kids' best interest, if there are kids in the picture, that both mom and dad improve. That's your responsibility to help articulate. Because right now it sounds like maybe this is just your idea and your show. Make it our show, you and her, a collective together, you're going to have a lot better success getting her on board with growing and expanding and developing past the way that you interpret her as performing right now. And again, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. If you're the one who's saying being a homemaker is inferior, I would definitely challenge that as hard as Kip, you challenge that. And I think that's a detriment to not only her and you and your family unit, but society in general.
Yeah, agreed. But to Adam's point, like this could be tough. Like if you're with someone that doesn't have a growth mindset, like that could be very difficult. So
it would be a miserable thing.
Yeah.
But just be aware that your growth, she doesn't have to grow the same way you want to grow. Her path to growth might be different than yours. And just because you may not recognize that she's not growing how you want to grow or how you see you should be growing. Like my wife, she's never going to listen to self-development podcasts probably. She's not going to listen to like how to be a better entrepreneur. She doesn't even listen to this podcast. Like she's not going to that's not what she's going to do. But you know what she is going to do? She's going to go out and buy a book on how to grow a garden. She's going to take a course on how to become, preserve food and cook or how to decorate the house because that's valuable to her. And so it'd be very easy for me to say, well, that's lame. That's stupid. That's not, you need to like develop. Well, that is self-development. It's just different than the way I would see it. And I encourage all of that in her because although I don't see it as development that would be meaningful for me, it's certainly development for her. She's a better human being because of it. And therefore our family, myself included, are better served because she's growing in the way that she sees fit. So we got to be very careful about saying that she's not developing the way I want her to. Well, maybe that's the gateway, right? Maybe that's the entry, is letting her, maybe she wants to, I don't start blogging or journaling or, take a course on how to build things. I don't know, but don't judge it. Just let her roll with it and see if she likes that education and that learning, because that'll expand to something else.
And we haven't all been on this path ever since the beginning of time. Like it takes experience and life lessons to figure out, and to progress on that path. And your spouse might just be in one of those areas where they're, you know what I mean? They need a little bit of time to progress. So, all right, Zachary Cooper, his question is about your Kubota.
My Kubota. My tractor.
Yeah. He's like, how did you end up getting it running? It's been bothering me for a while now.
It's been bothering me for a while too.
Yeah. We're going to calm your nerves right here so you can sleep better at night.
Well, I'm not going to calm his nerves because I haven't got it started.
Oh, really?
No, I haven't. I've changed out the battery thinking it was a battery issue. It wasn't a battery issue. I think it's I'm not mechanically inclined, so you guys are going to listen to this and be like, what the hell is he talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about.
This is what he should be doing.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I think there's a problem between, I don't know, the starter and the battery somewhere because it's getting power. It's just
electrical of some sort.
It's some sort of electrical problem.
Yeah.
It's not even clicking. It's not even turning over.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a problem there. I thought it was a seat sensor. And maybe if you're a Kubota guy, you can let me know. I'm like, it seems to me that it's a seat sensor issue because they have all this little safety features built in. And I'm like, well, maybe it needs to be in neutral and maybe the PTO needs to be turned off and maybe this little stop button needs to be pushed in and maybe the seat sensor's not working. All of that stuff's in the right place. I lifted that seat, man. I looked forever. I cannot find a seat sensor in that. So either I'm blind and oblivious to it, which is very likely, or there is just not a seat sensor in it. So I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to take it into the Kubota dealership and let them work their magic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, there you go. He's not feeling any better by asking that question.
Well, at least he knows now. It's not started. I haven't got my brother-in-law even came and he's pretty mechanically inclined and he came and looked at it and he's like, I don't know what's wrong with it. So who knows?
That's funny. All right. Adam Blake Pagan. My son has joined Cub Scouts, and due to my work schedule, I would not be able to fulfill the objectives and obligations needed for a den leader role. So the appointed den leader wanted me to be an assistant den leader, and I accepted. My question is, the den leader is a woman, which is no problem, but since I wouldn't be able to attend majority of outings and campouts, there will be a lack of masculine figure, and I feel I'm the only dad involved that wants to see these boys succeed, and the only parent involved with the den that has any scouting experience. How can I keep the masculine presence alive to be able to do so? Make up for the lost time I can't be there. My goal is not only to be able to teach them basic survival skills, but also be able to work effectively and efficiently in teams, as well as being capable leaders, install mass discipline, and to utilize the skills in all aspects of life. There you go.
Enlist more men.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cub Scouts. Cub Scouts is always run by women.
Yeah.
Because men don't step up. And it's easy to say, well, they're working and they're busy. And yeah, that's true. So you can either deal with it, the fact that they're going to do little arts and crafts and build butterflies and Mother's Day cards at Cub Scouts, because that's what they do. Like, you're not going to be doing camp outs as Cub Scouts. I don't even think they get into that until they start until they're Boy Scouts. But yeah, the outings are going to be very feminized, because most of that's what they like. When I've gone to little Cub Scout courts of honor things, and I mean, the stuff they do is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. The way they like cheer for each other and do little claps and little chants and cheers, it's very feminized, because women are leading it. So you need to step in where you can, and you need to enlist other men. Get the other guys involved. And guys are like, well, it's stupid. I don't want to do it. It's stupid because it's stupid. You can make it better by getting involved. So get yourself involved. Sounds like you are, and I commend you for doing that. And then enlist other men. Like the kids, you can find out who the parents are and do guy stuff instead. So when the den leader says, hey, like, what should we do? Don't just default to her by making little arts and crafts and baking cookies. Say, hey, we're going to do a basketball tournament with the other troops in the area. And that's what we're going to do this Saturday. We're going to do flag football tonight, and we're going to teach them the rules of football. Or we're going to go out and we're going to shoot guns. We're going to break down guns. And when she says, oh, I don't know if I should do, right, you don't know. So that's why I'm here to help, to give you a different perspective. So assert yourself, get other men involved, and make your Cub Scout troop or unit or a pack, I think it is, make it something that is going to be conducive for turning these little boys into men, which is ultimately what we're trying to do here.
Love it. All right. Luke Watts, restoring your personal vision, how to deal with the difference between reality and vision. And he mentions this. He says, maybe I have the vision thing wrong and I'm committing too much on the tactic side. So he gives an example where, summertime has changed, kids are getting up earlier, and it's completely jacked up his tactics. And he's now like having to adjust and how that relates to vision versus reality. And so maybe we need to give a little quick course on what is he talking about here. I'm assuming Luke has read Sovereignty or he might be a member of the Iron Council. So he's probably working on a battle plan and is struggling.
So the battle plan is 4 main components, and I'm going to do this as succinctly as possible. First, vision. Second is your objectives in 4 key areas. Next is your tactics. I tried to combine objectives and tactics together. So next is your tactics. And then the next component of that is your checkpoints. There you go. So what he's talking about is vision, and he's talking about the gap or something, I can't remember the term you used, between vision and reality.
Yeah, well, like once he starts
vision is not daydreaming. It's not off in some fantasy land that doesn't exist, that can never exist, that never will exist. It's about accepting your current reality and then creating and painting and crafting a new reality for yourself. So it's not turning yourself into some superhero or some mythical creature that everything is wonderful and you save all the damsels in distress and you're invincible. That's not what we're talking about here. We're taking where you currently are and asking yourself, if things were better, that's it. If things were better, if I was 20 pounds lighter, if my wife and I were more intimate, if I was more connected with my kids, if I was more successful in business, what would that look like? That's all it is. I think we tend to overthink this. I don't want to overlook it, but I also don't want to overthink it. Start documenting and thinking about that in the morning when you wake up. You talked about this, your visualization, and you talked about your affirmations. You should be thinking about the future. What do I want my future to look like? How's it going to feel? What are my relationships going to be like? What kind of income am I going to be making? What experiences I'm having? What kind of conversations am I able to have with myself? And who am I communicating with? These are all very, very powerful strategies for realizing a future that hasn't happened yet. Now, once you have that, you work backwards into a 90-day objective in each one of 4 categories. The reason it's 90 days is because, like this gentleman's talking about, seasons change, right? Kids are out of school or they're in school, and priorities shift and change, and you have things at work, and sometimes that takes precedence, and sometimes things with family take precedence because, there's a new baby in the house, or your wife just quit her job to stay at home, or whatever. That doesn't need to change your vision. It just means that you may need to change the objectives or change what the ultimate goal is for yourself. And of course, the tactics are going to change with that as well. That's why it's 90 days. It's not a year. It's not 10 years. It's 90 days. What do you have to do this quarter with regards to, and I'll go through the 4 key areas here, your calibration, which is your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It's connections, which are the relationships with the people around you. Condition, which is physical health. And contribution, which is adding value, becoming a man of value in society, your job, your family, etc. Come up with an objective, a 90-day objective in each one of those. And when you get to 90 days, you know what? Something may have changed. The priority may have changed. Maybe the priorities change in 30 days. Okay, adjust, pivot. That's what makes you a human being, is that you can think, not just react. So you just think about what you want, envision what you're after, adjust and correct along the way where necessary, and make your plan work. I think there might be a little overthinking here.
Yeah. Well, and I think on his point, vision is not the specific tactic that you're working on.
No.
Right. And so in his case, summer comes, schedules change, job changes or whatever, pivot your tactic. Your vision should be the same. And even your objective probably should remain the same if you're in your 90-day period. Now adjust the tactics so you can still accomplish that objective.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Look, I know.
Or maybe even objectives change. That's a good point.
I know people who, their wives were diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the objective of going on 2 successful hunts this quarter. Come on, man. Like, get your priorities straight here.
Yeah, good.
That would certainly change my objective. My vision would still be the same. I'd still want to be connected with my wife. I'd still want to be integrated with who I am. But my objective was certainly changed in that circumstance.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You have to be able to have some flexibility in the plan.
Cool. All right. We wrapped up those questions that I had documented. Are you good for a wrap up?
We maybe let's just take a couple more because we've had a couple of cutouts. So if you guys have heard that in the podcast, our technology is not working as intended today. So maybe let's just take a couple more because I don't know how long we've been going based on that. So let's take a couple more and then we'll wrap things up.
All right, sounds great. Let me pull up these other questions. Sorry, man, it's a day of technology.
Mm-hmm. Just how it goes.
Yeah.
You want me to pull them up?
All right. Yeah, no, I got them up here. It's just since my PC crashed, I had to pull it back up. So, all right. Next question.
That's what you get for having a PC.
I know. If it was a Mac, I probably wouldn't have this problem.
Exactly. You said it, not me.
Yeah. Yeah. The classic, we have like 2 houses. We have the flat bill, curved bill, and the Macs and the PC guys, right? That's the
guys that
dichotomies of life.
The guys that just want to think about life and ponder and do affirmations, and the guys who are actually getting out there just doing it.
That the 1% actually, that's the 1%. We'll just call them the 1%. All right. Brad Harridan. What is the one thing you absolutely refuse to eat in public? For me, it's ice cream. And I'm assuming, looking at Brad's picture here,
he's got a bearded brother.
He has a bearded brother. Yep.
Chili dogs would not go over well.
Chili
Although I would
dogs.
love to go down on a chili dog right now. But yeah, I won't eat a chili dog. Ice cream definitely is a no-no. Everybody looks at me funny at the restaurant when I'll get a glass of water. I'm like, can I have a straw for that? Like, I need a straw for my drinks. What else? Egg yolks are rough, but
Oh
it's
yeah, like
yeah,
a runny egg.
yeah, like a fried egg. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
rough. So I would say chili dogs. Soup is rough. I I can't really do soup. And it's
that's
just the price
funny.
price of beauty, man. Just
You
price of
don't think
beauty.
you don't think about these things.
You
I don't
wouldn't,
think about
yeah.
these things at all. Yeah.
I've had to learn to like read everything, especially because I keep my mustache long.
Yeah.
Like I don't even trim my mustache, so it's that much more effort.
All right. What habit and routine paved your way to being successful? Can you explain the mindset of this? What habit and
Mm,
routine paved your
that's
way
not a
to being
fair
successful?
question because it's not just a habit. Like if you do this, then you'll be successful.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that have done like one really good thing, but then they do a whole bunch of other stupid things and it undermines the one good thing they happen to be doing.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
how
in
about
fairness to the question though,
yeah,
let's
what's a
let's
top
talk
one for
about
you? Yeah.
that. I would say planning.
Hmm.
Plan out every single morning. You would be amazed how many guys do not plan their days. Maybe they have a calendar with their appointments and things they need to get done for the week, but they don't plan, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and this is the thing I'm going to accomplish first. And if little problems arise, here's how I'm going to address those problems. And here's the second priority and here's the third priority. They don't do it. And so they're just stuck in this perpetual rat race. It's that old proverbial rat running around the wheel, not being able to jump off of that wheel because the guy never gives himself any space or margin to do it.
Yeah.
So if there's, again, it's not one thing, but if there's one thing that's often overlooked, it's taking 10 to 20 minutes every single morning and planning out your day. I know that it sounds trivial. I get it. Because when I wasn't planning, I thought to myself, I mean, I know what appointments I have to do. I know what my projects are. Like what I know, when little Timmy's baseball game is, like why would I need to plan? What a wasted time. That's what I thought. But taking the 10 to 20 minutes makes everything more efficient. It gets me grounded. I'm able to deal with uncertainty and unexpected events that arise. I'm able to prioritize what's important. I'm able to actually calculate what I get done and what I don't get done all through the process of planning out my day.
Yeah.
The
And it's funny.
mindset, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it surprised me, right? Because when I think of you, I think immediately Ryan acts first, plans as a secondary. But once you went down the path of I plan my day, then I was like, okay, yeah, that makes more sense because I do think that your natural tendency is to take action more than plan.
Completely.
But it sounds like the planning on a daily basis is super critical to you for daily success, and through that iterative process, that has given you great reward.
Right. Because a
I
lot of
see.
people believe that action is prudent, right? As long as I'm doing something, I'm moving the
Yeah.
needle.
Yeah.
No, I mean maybe you're moving the needle, but you're not really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So I was listening to a lot of guys know who JP Donnell is. He's with Echelon Front with Jocko and Leif and those guys, and uh, he came up to Maine to do a presentation for Origin, and Pete invited me over there, and so I got the chance to listen to JP, and he gave a great presentation. And one of the things he said is he said that everybody knows the adage practice makes perfect, and he says that's not true. He says practice makes permanence. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'd never heard that before.
So watch what you practice.
Right. So if you practice dumb, ineffective, inefficient activities, then that's what it's going to produce, and you're going to get really good at doing inefficient activities.
Mm.
That's not what you want. So you need to make sure that you're deliberate and intentional about your actions. So if you're just acting because that's what you think you should do, it's reckless. If you're just thinking without really acting, that's worthless. So there's a medium. There's a middle ground between planning, strategizing, thinking, executing, taking action, working the plan.
I like it. All right. Aaron Grotch, should we worry about finding work that feels fulfilling, or should we be satisfied to provide well? If you say both, how do you find and or create a job that does both? Challenge, don't use the word passion.
Holy cow. Like, just tell me what you want the answer to be.
Yeah.
You already know the answer. Because you wouldn't have, you ask those questions, you say, if you say both, well, that means you knew I would say both.
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing. You should be finding work that's meaningful, that's fulfilling, that's rewarding, that's uplifting to you. How do you do that? First, make your own work, your current work, meaningful. That's the very first step. Because what guys will do is they'll say, this job's miserable. I hate this job. If I wasn't here, I wouldn't be so miserable. Yeah, you would. You'd be the same dude you are now. If you were in any other job in the world, you'd be the same guy that you are right now, complaining about whatever. You'd find something at your next job to complain about. So stop complaining about your current job. Stop doing menial work at your current job and take pride and honor in the work that you're doing now. Because who knows? It might actually be right under your nose, but it's not the work. It's the way that you're treating the work. So step number 1, find meaning and fulfillment and purpose in the work that you're currently doing. Step number 2, explore passions. Maybe not, I'm sorry, I can't say passion. Explore things that sound interesting to you. That's it. If it sounds even remotely interesting, take one step towards that thing. Buy a course, read a book, watch a YouTube video. Just take one step. Ask a friend questions about it. One step towards that thing that sounds interesting to you. If it's still interesting after your first step, take another step and another step and another step. That's what I did with the podcast. I started Order of Man in March of 2015, but before that, I had another podcast called Wealth Anatomy, where we focused on providing financial advice to medical professionals. And it sounded interesting. I'm not going to get into a long, drawn out story because it actually started even before podcasting. But podcasting sounded interesting. So I started a podcast and I took one step and then another. And then I had a guest on and then I got new mics and then I developed a new skill. I just kept going. And then about 20 episodes into Wealth Anatomy, I decided to pivot into what you're listening to right now. That was almost 5 years ago. I would have never stepped in. I didn't even know this existed. In many ways, I've created this, and I didn't even know that it was available or existed. And I never would have known had I not taken the very first step, which was the very first step that got me into it was to buy I think it was called a Blue Yeti microphone. And I started recording like 10 to 15 minute initial sales presentations for my financial planning practice on CDs that I would give to prospects.
Yeah. Should we explain what a CD is for the younger listeners?
We might need to. Yeah. Compact disc. Excuse me. Let me say it that way.
Just Google it and you'll know.
Yeah. Google it. Yeah. So that's it. Make where you are meaningful and take one step towards something that sounds interesting to you, because you never know where it's going to lead, and you never will until you go for it.
I like that step 1. And I like that step 1 because I am a huge believer that people will not, like, people think that if their circumstances change, they're going to show up differently. And I think a lot of the time people don't. So, like, for instance, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, are you going to take care of your car? Oh, well, if I buy a new car, then I would take care of that one.
Yes.
That doesn't happen. And I think it's the same thing even in this example of jobs. If you don't find meaning in your current mundane job, you're not going to find meaning in a greater job, because you're going to approach it with the same type of horrible attitude and mentality and lacking abilities and everything else. And you're just saying you're not going to find the value in it because you haven't even found the value in what you have today.
Right. Yep. That's exactly right. I had made a post on Instagram. Let me find it here.
Hey, should I follow you? What's your Instagram handle?
Joking. It's Ryan Mickler.
Yeah. So if you guys want to follow Mr. Mickler, it's Ryan Mickler. YANMICHLER.
Yes.
All right.
All right. So here's what I said. I said, if you want level 10 success, you have to be capable of dealing with level 10 problems. The only way to become capable of dealing with level 10 problems is proving yourself capable of dealing with level 9 problems. Remember that when you feel like running away every time you deal with a challenge. I think this actually ties in well, is you're not going to be able to find what it means to be fulfilled unless you understand what it means to be fulfilled. And you can find that where you currently are. It doesn't have to be your dream job. And I'm not telling you to stay there forever because you're supposed to find fulfillment in what you're doing. But there's something that you're doing that's meaningful, even if it's the fact that you take great pride in putting food on the table by doing this work that maybe you're not totally happy about. That's something to be proud about. Find fulfillment where you are, and then you prove yourself capable and worthy of finding fulfillment in other areas. I loved your car example. When I get a new car, I'm going to treat that thing so great. Start treating your current car great, and then you'll prove to yourself that you're capable of taking care of another car. Same thing with relationships. Oh, my wife's such a bitch, and yeah, if only she would do this, and if I had a different wife, then life would be better. Maybe if you were a different man, life would be better. Maybe you're the problem.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that too. We all are. But the solution isn't external, it's internal. And then when you change internally, the external circumstances change around that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the benefits I think that guys can get out of joining the Iron Council, is to add another level of purpose, to get onto a team, stand shoulder to shoulder with other men, and find purpose in that community, lifting up other men. Now, obviously, you're benefiting yourself. That's why most guys join the Iron Council. And I use this example of the progression of the Iron Council is guys join for themselves, and then they actually realize that they stay there because their families, because their kids, because their spouses, and because of the other men on their team, because now they start finding their voice and they can see how they're impacting and bettering other people.
Right.
And then they might become a battle team leader or an XO on a team. And now they're adding more purpose to their life. They're serving other men. They're helping other guys level up. And it is a perfect ecosystem for guys to find purpose and meaning. Not purpose and meaning. Well, to add purpose and meaning, but to have an impact, to make a difference. And that's one of the benefits of the Iron Council. To learn more, go to orderofman.com/Iron Council.
I see what you did there. Well done. Well done.
All right.
Let's wrap things up, man.
Yeah. So we have June 11th through the 14th, 2020. That is our legacy event. That's the father and young man event. The young boys need to be between the ages of 8 and 15 years old. It's in Maine, and it is awesome. To learn more, orderofman.com/legacy. And of course, to support the podcast, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, and represent with swag. You can find swag and other items at store.orderofman.com. And as like I mentioned earlier, feel free to follow Mr. Mickler on Twitter and or Instagram at Ryan Mickler. And that's pronounced Mitchler. Ryan Mitchler.
No, that's Brian Mitchler. This is Ryan Mickler.
Oh, that's right. By the way, after last week's podcast, someone said, I think it was Dennis, he sent me a message. He says, just so you know, Brian Mitchler may or may have not joined the Order of Man Facebook group. I'm like, awesome. And then he replied shortly thereafter, and he's like, I made one post and I already have gotten blocked.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So our moderators are doing a good job, and I
didn't even see it. I wish I would have seen it now.
I know, me too. I was like,
oh, it's funny. All right. Well, guys, we'll call it a day. Appreciate you being on the path. We'll be back on Friday for the Friday field notes. But until then, go out there, take action, become the man you are meant to be.